Hello and welcome to my show, Shuvra Deb With You, with me, your host, Shuvra Deb. In this show, I will be discussing mental health with the aim of raising mental health awareness in our community and in society as a whole. The genesis of the show is my own pivotal life-changing experience of being in a Category 5 hurricane back in 2017. That experience led me to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. I am hosting this show in order to let you know that you are not alone if something life-changing has happened to you from which you are struggling to heal. Shuvra Deb With You focuses on a range of topics relevant to mental health and to raising awareness of issues surrounding mental health. Hello everyone and welcome back to Shuvra Deb With You. As you all know by now, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, my show is about raising awareness around the topic of mental health. I want us all to be living in a society where looking after our own mental health and the mental health of those we love and care about is no longer stigmatized, as is currently the case in society. I want us all to live in a world where we no longer make that distinction between mental and physical health, and where each and every aspect of our health is considered in an inclusive and holistic way. Whilst my show is about raising awareness around the issue of mental health, I do want to make it clear at the very outset that I'm not a mental health professional and I'm not a doctor. If you do need to seek professional help, then I wholeheartedly encourage you to do so. And we have a great number of options here in the Cayman Islands where you can reach out for support. Infinite Mind Care provides counselling services and can be reached on 926-0882. The Alex Panton Foundation offers support to people up to the age of 30, and their information is on their website, alexpantonfoundation.ky. Loud Silent Voices also provides mental health support, and their number is 922-3847, and their email is info@lsv.support. As ever, I love hearing what you guys have to say about my discussion topics, so please do reach out to me with your comments, questions, feedback, anything you'd like to share with me. You can get me on my email at shuvradeb82@gmail.com. That's spelt SHUVRADEB, the numbers 82@gmail.com. So moving on to our topic today. My regular listeners and my podcast listeners will know that on episode 7, I had a discussion with Ian Smith and Stella Noyons of F45 Cayman Islands. And I am now so thrilled to have my next guest on my show, introducing Kim Wallace to you all. Kim is a multi-talented, multifaceted force of nature. I don't know how else to describe her. Kim has multiple businesses, and from what I can tell, she has a remarkable ability to balance many jobs and tasks in her professional and her personal life. I will shortly let Kim introduce herself and tell you all about who she is and the amazing things that she does. But before I get into it with Kim, when I spoke with Ian and Stella of F45 Cayman, we discussed physical well-being and how maintaining good physical health has a multitude of benefits for clearly physical health, but also mental health. Today's discussion with Kim is going to center more around the emotional and spiritual components of mental well-being. And with that, let's get right into it. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Shuvra. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming onto my show. I think I emailed you roundabout, before Christmas or something, or maybe earlier than that. And so you immediately said yes, and I'm so grateful you did.
Thank you.
And here we are.
Yes,
this is
we are exciting. and I just want to say, I'm really listening to you intro. It just struck a chord with me to hear that you're looking to remove that stigma around, or the disparities between these different components of holistic wellness. Mm-hmm. Mental health has its own stigma that traditionally, in our own community is quite strong. Mm-hmm. And we're working our way to erasing that and embracing it as the wholeness of who we are. We're not broken,
right?
We're just working on ourselves, right? And everyone's different. So, so much of focus has been on the physical care and our nutritional component, and that's very important, but we miss that emotional, mental, spiritual side of us. And sometimes it's not comfortable for people in some of those aspects, so I think that this is where I kind of slot in.
Well, absolutely. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way we've been raised. I mean, certainly my generation, our generation, we were raised to kind of stigmatize mental health, actually, to have the word mental health or psychiatry or psychiatrist was always kind of like, oh, really? And that's missing the point. It's missing the point that a being has a body and a mind, and of course a soul and a spirit and all the rest of it, which is, where all the holistic stuff comes in. So now we're in this society, I think, where it is becoming much more holistic. It is a factor of embracing all of those facets. And that is indeed where you come in.
It's my forte.
So tell me a bit about your background, a summary of what you do, and also what you did do, because of course you did work in the corporate world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's start from there. So I'm a HR professional, and I'm like, how many years I've been working? So a decade and a half in HR.
Wow.
And so I feel, and I've been in senior leadership roles, so I understand the pulse of business needs and employees. And I think I've been a really good advocate in that sense in all the roles I've taken. People are just important to me, and connections are important to me. Yeah. So back in 2019, I came out of corporate land and started my own business, an HR consultancy and coaching and wellness coaching called Intuitive Coaching. And so, as with any new company, you start somewhere.
Start from the bottom up.
You start from the bottom up, right?
Yeah.
So, I took on some great clients around facilitation, which was wonderful. So private clients, corporate clients. I've been involved in some programs, and I don't necessarily have to say them all, but, been working in that workshop. Yeah. And, for unemployed community members.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Helping unemployed people get into work or get back into
exactly.
work. Yeah.
And, but from that, I also saw the need for wellness, like much more focused approach to that versus like we're talking about, the businesses having corporate wellness programs, but what did that really mean?
Right.
You can have a committee.
Yeah. Having a committee and having like a monthly yoga session doesn't really, it's not embracing enough.
Right. Exactly. And, we start where we start, and then we get there. Right.
Yeah,
so like we're saying.
Yeah, once a month is better than not at all.
Exactly.
But, that can be built
yes. And, having, our health fairs and things that we've all been, told to do in HR and corporate. Insurance companies will help with those generally, and so we go by their guidance and we do their, initiatives that they're doing and walking activities, running at, we help people sign up for and pay for them to do community charitable walks. And all of that is part of where we start.
Is that what HR tells you to do? Because, I'm quite surprised by this, given that I am an attorney by trade. I've worked in law firms for coming up 7 years now. Before that, I was self-employed in England. I don't think I really know what HR is. I know what it stands for. And
gosh, well, that's a whole different discussion because HR
touch on that
is from A to Z. I mean,
I'm curious.
We're leading the people. Like we are responsible for the human resources, of a company, and so from induction until their exits and all the in between and all the administration and all the development and the training and the performance management and they're headliners, but the work that goes into those, the scope is quite vast, right?
And it's very detailed. So that's what set you up so well to do what you do now, because you have that deep background.
Yeah, I think the breadth and the depth of what it means to deal with people in the business, right?
Yeah.
And then we're all humans, all of us, no matter what role we have in a company, we're human. We know how we feel, and if you're empathetic and you can understand how another person feels, that's great. And so emotional intelligence is an amazing attribute and skill to have, and not that's not something that everyone does have, right? So I've been able to, I think, just take naturally who I am and pour it into my own business. And it's I am my brand.
You are.
I am my brand, right? So no matter what name it has, I'm the brand.
Yeah.
So with intuitive coaching last year,
tell me more about that. Tell me more about that.
So outside of what I've kind of done with, my facilitation and I've had, HR contracted, bits and pieces here and there. Last year I decided, how do I get into corporate wellness? Because I really felt that there was a need. Yeah. And I had a wonderful experience happen where someone asked me if I would be interested to do a vision boarding event in the community. Yeah. And I said, well, sure. I have this great, one that I use, and it's very, I'm going to say spiritually aligned, not just like we're going to go get pictures and put them on our board because we want this and that, right? This one is more, when I say spiritual, more going within.
Okay. So less possibly materialistic, where we might cut out a picture of, the beach house that we want and glue it up there.
Right.
Pin it up,
And you may
whatever
have
we do
that.
these days. Do
but
people still use glue? I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
yeah.
they do.
And now we have electronic boards you can do too.
Wow,
like,
yeah.
you can do
I'm
it
sure
all.
Pinterest boards and all sorts of things.
Absolutely. Canva, you know.
Of course, yeah.
But in any case, so it created, I had created my own vision board and I had words on it.
Yeah.
And the person who asked me to lead this was doing a project with those words on it.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, well, I can't say no because it showed up. Right. And this is one of those things where I tell people, you know, don't be attached to the form.
Yes.
Of something.
That's
Right.
How does it feel?
Yeah.
Right.
And
the substance.
I started out with doing this in the community. So I did a couple of workshops and I've been to some yoga studios and some different places that, you know, rented space.
Yeah.
And then I thought, gosh, I bet there's got to be a business that's interested to tap into like, you know, offering this to their employees. And I found some.
Amazing.
So I've been fortunate enough to, and in the last quarter that just happened, like within October to early December, you know, I was able to work with DART several times and Providence and Kensington and the Marriott.
Wow.
And I was like, wonderful.
This is
great.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
There's a need and people are seeing it. And because we're all human, like I say, you know, and everyone in our employee groups have different needs.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not going to resonate for every single person, but those who need that and who are wanting to tap into a spiritual kind of self-care for themselves or an emotional, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
This allows for that. So,
and of course that can give inspiration for things also within the workplace. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you're vision boarding about personal development that it won't then assist the person in their job. It's so holistic that it can bring out real benefits to all aspects of our lives, I think. I mean, I've done vision boarding and I felt it touched on every aspect of my life. Yeah. Yeah, professionally, personally, romantically.
Yeah, and it's all to the individual.
Right.
You know, I do a guided meditation, you know, and basically that's just to get us all to quiet our minds because we're all running around like with good intentions. Oh, yes, I'm going to have some quiet time and you've got music going, you've got your kids running behind, you're trying to have a moment, you never do.
Yeah. And don't
you
forget
never
the
quiet.
internal mind chatter.
Exactly.
Chat.
You know. So yeah, and it's still, you know, people are still like, oh, it's not quiet. It's hard to quiet the mind, you know, when we do this. But so it's been very rewarding for me to do it and to watch the impacts that the surprises that come up for people too. Because, you know, like I said, you're having your own experience. I'm asking a question and you're answering your own questions from within. What's important. And a lot of people will say, I was expecting X, Y, and Z to pop up and it never even, you know, popped its head up, you know, this, you know, and so now that they know truly that they're working on something to manifest something that they really desire from inside. Yeah. Like this is important to me. And, you know,
it's much more purpose driven and intentional.
Absolutely.
Than kind of just surface level, as you say, form as opposed to substance.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also I do like the whole corporate culture embracing this now because I think historically, and again, certainly the way that, you know, I've worked in the last few decades, it's been a case of you always have to be switched on. You always have to be doing, thinking, producing. And yes, there's value in that, of course, because as I've said previously on previous shows, every business has a bottom line. Your business has a bottom line. You know, everyone has that. But in order to get to that, it is actually sometimes important to just silence our minds, to take a step back, to let the creativity, the ideas flow. And that can actually, in the long term, be much more beneficial to the business, to the individual, to the whole company.
Exactly.
And that's
you
what you're
doing. You get it. You get it. Yeah. And you know, we are evolving. Times are changing. You know, we're thinking differently. Our generations behind us have different values, and we're being pushed, and all of our structures that we see are falling away.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so this is part of it. You know, and this is and it's to be
I'm getting
embraced.
goosebumps.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You know, we've
It's
been
just
so,
also,
and I say this in a energetic way, masculine driven, where it's very
it
achievement based.
it has been.
Right?
Yeah.
What, you know,
we both entered the workforce even when it was incredibly masculine. And just in the, I think, 16 years I've been working now as a lawyer, but, you know, I had my first part-time job when I was 15, I think, you know, so
yeah, me too.
When was that?
That was a long time for me.
25 years ago?
I'm like double your age, I think.
A few decades ago, something like that. It was such a different world, right?
Yeah.
The guys made the decisions. The guys were, you know, always at the top.
Yeah, and that's a whole component too of gender, like masculine, feminine. But this, like when I'm speaking is energetically, like there's that achievement in providing. Like I got to go out and grab this, and I got to get the next promotion, and I've got to be working my butt off, and I got to be here, you know, 16 hours, something crazy, you know. And when we all follow suit, and it's all about all of that, right? And so now we're like, is that all that really important?
Yeah,
really?
exactly. Is that
You
what
know,
there is
that's
to life?
not, you
Do I
know.
really want to be digging my own grave and give myself a heart attack at the age of 50 or whatever,
Exactly.
right? So,
Exactly. And time shows, because then it shows up in our bodies. We're unhealthy.
yes, and our minds.
Stress induced.
Yes.
And so we're coming out of that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a beautiful time and season for all of us to just walk into it. And and I think when we talk holistic, spiritual, those words scare some people because it seems
it's a bit too woo-woo, it's a bit too
or
out there, a bit
new
too
age,
bohemian.
whatever the word is that they attributed
to
it.
I don't know, maybe they think Woodstock or something. It's kind of like, a bunch of hippies sitting around.
Age of Aquarius, we are here, So,
well, there is that too.
But I think that one of the things that I offer is we're such a religious community, which is, there's no wrong to that.
Yeah.
But for people to realize this is not religion.
Yeah.
Spirituality is just a depth to me, right? And
I
how I see it, like I'm personally speaking,
it can
like
be going to God,
right, like someone can use in that
way.
Exactly. So, but what do we say
it's
for
not
the
exclusive.
people?
I think
exactly
to say it's not religion. I mean, it's not dogmatic religion, but it doesn't have to be not religion either.
Exactly. Yes, but for some, it's like, well, if this isn't the faith that I know, then that's wrong. And that's a lot how dogma goes with religion,
course,
right?
yeah,
So like,
yeah.
I believe this, and if you don't, well, then you're wrong and I'm right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and
that's
we're
a whole other
right,
show.
right. So like, to me, spirituality like is above all of that. It's
Yes.
just like
All
this oneness.
encompassing.
And I believe in God and I am religious.
Yeah, me too.
So,
Well, I'm Hindu. I believe in lots of gods, apparently.
yes, there you go. Well, are you richer for that? You know, maybe. Supporting even more.
What to
I don't
turn
know.
to in every different time of every different need.
So I'm not here to like debate if is religion good or bad, or just to say that I think a lot of people are now starting to see that it's not an evil thing. This is just for us to be connected more to source, to God, whatever that is, and to each other,
to ourselves, to each
we
other.
all part of this world. Like
Right,
there is no
exactly, yeah.
really. Yes, we're in physical bodies that we're different, and some
Right.
are male, female, children, adults, whatever.
But we all need to eat food. We all need water. And what's the saying? We all bleed the same.
Right, exactly. So it's a beautiful time to be in. I think I feel excited to be able to lead, doing what I do, and just go for it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
beautiful. So I now want to talk about your retreats.
Ooh.
Authentic You retreats, y'all. So
yes.
But before I get into all of that, I want to talk about it. Like, I know that I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but I do love to talk.
Lead the charge.
And I just want to introduce Kim's retreats, Authentic You retreats, by saying that I have been on all of them. And I think
You're the only one.
Only one.
You're the only one. Yes, you are. You're my star.
Yeah, I'm the star.
Yes.
I have the gold star.
Yes, you do.
So I have been on all of your retreats, and they started back in August 2020, just as we were coming out of our internal lockdown. The borders, of course, were still closed. They only reopened March 2022, so it hasn't even been a full year yet for a full reopening. Yeah. So here we were in our little bubble, which was beautiful. And your retreat popped up, and I think you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, I'm doing this, and I think it would be great for you." And because something big had just happened in my life. I just experienced a big loss, so it was just the perfect timing. And I keep going back, and the reason I keep going back is because I absolutely love what you do. And I've been on other retreats before yours and since, and what I love about your retreats is that there are so many different types of activities, so many different types of sessions, whether it's Reiki or whether it's a talk on, for example, Reiki or on the Divine Feminine, or whether it's vision boarding, or whether it's Ayurveda, inner child work, all sorts of things going on. But you also offer massages and manicures and pedicures. And in spite of that absolutely full, list of things that can be done over the space of sometimes just 3 or 2.5 days, there's still somehow loads and loads of free time where I find myself lounging by the pool, going for a beach walk, meditating on the sand, which I absolutely love to do. And I've also got to give a shout out to Lynn Bodden here, the cottages.
Yes, absolutely.
The cottages, East End, everybody go check them out if you haven't already. Absolutely.
Beautiful property.
Just almost like a divine place to hold these retreats, and just to be, even outside of the retreat context. Because where Lynn's cottages are, that beautiful slice of the island is where we get the sunrise.
Yes. Oh, it's glorious to see all of our pictures.
All of our pictures.
Aren't you jealous that we're here and you're not? Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I get up. I mean, I normally get up at either 5 or 6 a.m. to go and work out or meditate, or both. But when I'm at Lynn's place in the summertime, I get up even earlier just to make sure I get that sunrise, that first appearance of the sun as it just comes up over the horizon. It's just mind blowing, right? So, with all of those interesting topics and just everything. It's wonderful. And another aspect I've got to say about your retreats is that I have made some firm friends, including you, as a result of your retreats. I go on these retreats, the guys, the girls are fantastic, and we've remained firm friends. And we see each other outside of the retreat scenario. So, you know, if there's any way of bonding, bringing people together, that's it. So tell me about where did the inspiration come from? How did you get into it? I want to hear everything. I want to hear the background, the front end stuff that I see.
Yeah, and I just want to say that all of that comes with intention on a community, because it's so important to me that I just didn't create retreats and then off you go. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm creating these to make money. It's like I was inspired like to really create these during COVID, and I'd been looking for opportunities to partner and do something with other people, and just wasn't panning out, you know, for whatever reason. And I guess it was this reason. And I just said, there was just a moment during COVID that I thought, why can't I do this? And it just flipped for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to. I'm going to create this, and I'm going to see what happens. Amazing. And within a week, it was sold out.
Oh, wow.
And I had built out all this time so that if nobody was, signing up, I had still time to get people. And I was like, what just happened? Like, it was such an eye opener. And I said to, I was praying. I'm like, okay, I'm sensitive. Let me know, like help me fill this up, right? Give me a sign that I'm supposed to do this or not do this. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Here's my sign. And the first one, went off without a hitch. And I was like, and they all do.
Yeah, they all do. They all just flow.
There's things that happen that maybe someone else doesn't see, but it's not like they're crazy.
Things happen. For example, we're supposed to have an outdoor guided breathing meditation that I might have been leading, or we're supposed to have an outdoor yoga session, and of course the heavens open and it starts absolutely pouring.
I know. The first one, it poured.
It did. I remember.
Yeah, and I had this, and we were like, you know what?
We were supposed to have.
Yeah, and it just felt like, and everybody had their little raincoats on and moving between
the
sessions.
Day, absolutely chucked it down. I remember.
But it was such a pensive kind of clearing. As well for that very first
really
one.
was.
It just was like, this is meant to be this way. And I always say, whatever's going to happen is how it's meant to be.
Do you know, I've been on 3 different retreats now, one in upstate New York, one here, and one in Costa Rica, where on the first day it absolutely bucketed down with rain. And we could all feel that cleansing.
Yeah.
We had just kind of, without prompting from each other, during that day or the following day, somebody would say to somebody else, while somebody else was saying the same thing to somebody else in a separate conversation. Wasn't that just so cleansing, so clearing?
I know.
And now look at the rainbow, it's metaphorical and actual.
Exactly. So, so creating these came out of just my own desire. I felt like it was a download, and I just started pick topics. And I also will say that as I do my healing, I'm helping other people heal. So, things that are interest to me as well, I put in the retreats. I'm learning, healing, helping others heal, and where it's collaborative and so they all kind of just come to me, and I just start writing notes, and I put them all together, and then I find facilitators for subject matter that I want to, topics that may not be my forte, because I don't profess to be the guru of anything, and they all just turned out right. And I like them intimate, so that we can all be a little bit more vulnerable and share, and it no matter what number are there, the groups always sync.
Yeah, they do.
Putting people in the rooms that may not know each other sometimes, they're like, we became the best of buddies. Yeah. And I just feel so aligned. When I tell anyone through any conversation, when I do those retreats, they light me up. I really and I just take, I'm a really good organizer too. I've always been, one of those people administratively that's solid. So those are good skills to have, So I just take all of me and put them into that, and they work. So thank you for saying that. It's been, so humbling to have you actually come for everyone, and I'm always so appreciative, as well as you helping and doing your work,
Exactly, volunteering my services.
Yeah, so
first thing in the morning after having seen that sunrise.
I know, right? I've got to go lead people now. But it's been a beautiful experience, and I don't see it stopping.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Creating, I'm I do have more planned. I did have something for Costa Rica coming, and but I'm also very, when it doesn't feel right, I don't push it anymore. I've learned, I actually had one for Tennessee coming up in May, and we just had to move it because we could not get the properties that I needed.
Yeah, we spoke about this the other week.
And it was like, oh, but it's what? When I moved it, I'm like, oh my gosh, look how it's going to fit with this now, and So, and then the opportunity came up for me to do some work with another collaborator, and I'm like, well, maybe this is why I wasn't supposed to do it. So I always kind of look at the bigger picture of stuff, and so,
how interesting.
but so the scope is very wide in terms of discussions and
Yeah.
subjects that we're talking about,
Yeah.
and self-care
Yeah.
and pampering,
Yes.
and just getting exposed to things that we wouldn't normally know
Right.
or hear, or
That's
we heard
right.
a little bit, but I
Yeah.
didn't know, oh, that's intriguing.
And other people's viewpoints as well. So the other thing to say about all of this is that it's an entirely, what we sort of the term we use these days is a safe space, i.e. it's all confidential. Nobody's judging anybody. Everybody is free and open to share whatever they want to share.
Exactly.
And in those sharing moments, I often find myself surprised by the shared experience. So I think I'm going through something and I think it's just me, or I think there's something wrong with me. And then somebody else shares something and their experience, it might be a different experience, but the way they feel about it is something that I felt and can resonate with it. I'm just like, oh, wow.
I know.
You too.
I know. Well, that's the beauty that shows us we're not so different.
Right.
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 And sometimes there's that isolation of we don't have a support group or people like, and whatever that is, the issue is, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm the only one going through it, or I just have to suck it up and,
Right.
buckle through that. But you do find that there's that synergy and like we have some similar stuff going on,
Right.
and how we support each other. So, and then coming out of the retreats,
Yeah.
it's been very important for me to like keep us working
Connected.
together.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
connected,
right.
and
You've
like
done a great
knowing
job with
that we are still here.
Yes.
Like I'm not just putting this on to see you once a year or whatever,
Yeah.
every retreat and that's it.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
the people who show up really do become my people. Like I
Yeah.
call them
No,
my
it's
people,
wonderful. It's wonderful. There are
Um,
girls I met on that first retreat who I see around and we'll still stop and say hello and
Yeah. it's
how's it
amazing.
going
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Those connections are there and you've facilitated in continuing with them.
Yep, exactly. So then from that, now I've just recently created our women's circle, our
That's
inner circle
right.
from the
Yes.
retreat ladies, and I'm starting to like dip a couple new people in that are like wanted to have a team, like a group
Yeah.
of people and support and like
Yeah.
show up somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that's going to grow.
Yeah. And I know you were talking about, I think a while ago, you talked about us getting together and volunteering and doing stuff for the community, which, yeah.
So
I mean, if,
in the past retreats, for every retreat, I do a donation to
Yeah.
a charity.
yeah.
So
Amazing.
that's been important for me to do.
Yeah.
But
great.
to get together and actually
Yeah.
do something. So yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
maybe that's back on my radar for this
Yeah,
year. Like go
listeners,
out and do
reach
that's
out. Tell
right.
us what you want us to do.
What would you like us to do?
What should we do? That's actually,
I know.
you know,
That's a
why
good
not
one,
put it out
Shubhra.
there to the listeners?
Yeah.
If they want to reach out to you or to me,
Yeah.
I'll put
absolutely.
your contact details and my contact details in the show notes.
Perfect. Yeah.
And people can reach out and they can tell us.
Yeah. My mind is like
Yeah,
right now.
I'm like, stop talking because we're like, oh,
I know what
go
is
with
that? I
this?
know, right?
Because there are so many
okay,
good
team.
causes
Everybody
on
is
the
going to
islands.
be
right.
You've
so
been
many
recruited to
charities.
do
Well,
a
exactly. All the ladies who are now listening to this, thinking, "Oh, what have they just signed us up to?"
I
We
know.
don't know yet. We'll let you know.
And I do want to say, I've not been exclusive to women, but I think that my
That's right.
calling
Sorry,
is.
I keep saying ladies.
I
But
know,
no,
but
we have guys too.
But
yeah,
we
of
do
course,
have,
of course.
we do
I
have.
don't mean to isolate the men.
Yeah.
Not at all.
The women are the ones coming,
Yes.
and so, but I'm open to more males.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they're there. I think just sometimes they don't know there's an opportunity going on.
Yeah,
and
or they
running.
might think it's for women only, and of course
Right.
it's not. You have had
Yeah.
guys participate.
And if I get a lot of people coming
yeah.
that are male and like a mixed group, I mean, there's some women who do want to just come to women only
Yeah,
events, and so being respectful to that, and some have
course.
partners that maybe aren't comfortable with their wives going to other,
Yeah.
spend over things and all sorts of different variety of reasons.
well, exactly. Their
But
partner might want to go with them.
but yeah.
check out what all this stuff is
Yeah.
about. What are they doing? Sitting
I
around the
know.
campfire casting spells or something? No.
I know.
Yeah, so it opens up that opportunity. And
Yeah.
also, we do get, again, it's about different perspectives. And when we do
Exactly.
have the male participants, they quite often do
Yeah.
offer a different perspective than what we as women might have.
Yep, absolutely. And it's like growing up in a house of just women. Like,
Yeah.
you got to have the male
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, good point there too. Yeah. So
Do you
I'm
only have
extremely-
daughters?
No, I have sons.
That's
too.
what I thought. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
do
thought you were
have-
talking about you, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's more girls than boys.
Right. Yeah. Well, my household consists of one female human, one female cat, and one male cat. So I consider that there are more women in the house
I
too.
agree. That energy is there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the male cat feels it. Yeah, it's constantly outnumbered, poor thing. So, retreats. Do you have any more planned at the moment, or is that something you are still working on because of dates and things?
Yes, I don't want to say anything out of turn yet. I have some things being
Sure.
created.
Keep us posted.
Yes,
Yeah,
and so
sounds
anyone
good.
who is interested, social media is our best friend.
What are your social media details?
They can find me on Instagram
Uh-huh.
and Facebook on Authentic You Retreats.
Yeah, it's authentic you
dash
_
K-Man. Yeah.
Oh,
So I put the tagline for Cayman too. So
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
but is it? Am I right? Is it authentic you underscore?
yeah, I
retreats?
think is it underscore. It sounds really bad to say, but there's an underscore.
There is an underscore
somewhere.
Yeah.
It won't be hard to find. Trust me.
It won't be hard to find.
It isn't hard. Anytime I tell people, they're like, "Oh, there you are, right there."
Yeah.
Right. So
or you can.
It's like
can find you through
a lotus flowering kind of pink, purpley
it's
look thing. Yeah, it's
logo.
very serene, kind of calming.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Logo.
I love it.
Yep.
I love a lotus flower.
Yep. So yeah, follow me on social media, and you'll be able to see anything that we're doing, be it like 1-day events, because I'm starting to put those into the picture again this year. Because sometimes weekends aren't viable, and we have kids and commitments, or even cost prohibitive. If I could get that word out.
Yeah,
prohibitive.
that word.
Yes, that's still not coming. So we want to have an opportunity for people to still show up and participate in something, even if it's for a day, because we can take a day off from work, to do something, or do a weekend. So so some of that is coming up.
Yes.
With also my overseas retreat and a local retreat.
Yeah.
So. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I'll be staying tuned for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. I wouldn't want to break the pattern.
Of course. Like how you've got
now
a lot to live up. Your listeners are going to go, hey, have you gone to all still?
I'm signed up for life now.
Exactly.
I have to plan my life around these retreats. That
She's
sounds
an OG.
good to me.
She's an OG.
Yeah. Oh, so tell me, we've touched on corporate work that you did, and the corporate sort of workshops that you've now started to do. Is there anything more that you want to say on that? Or,
Well, I'm one of the other things that I've found that is missing in the workplace is the ability for employees to really have meaningful conversations on things that matter.
Wow.
And yes, we do have an HR department. Most companies do, not all, right? There's some that don't.
Yeah.
People don't really want to talk to their HR. They don't want them to know their business, if you will, or I've
and
gone to
there's
HR.
A fear factor that if I go to HR will rat me out to my boss or whomever.
Correct. Or I just don't want them to know, or that could be happening as well. Or I've talked to them and they're not doing anything.
It might not be happening, but the fear's there.
Exactly. Right. And so, people, sometimes there's a stigma around counseling, going to a support services, company organization. Yeah. And I found that, one of my fortes are one-on-ones with people. And so I've been offering one-on-one discussions with employees to come in and like maybe do a pulse check.
What's that?
Like, what's the temperature of your organization people-wise?
Ah, okay.
Right? What are issues?
Right.
How many issues?
Yeah.
Do you know about those?
Right.
And what are you
so
doing
you
about
have that
them?
Conversation with whom? The employee or the employer?
The employee.
Or both?
And both, actually, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So obviously it starts with a company saying like, we may need to know, or we have some stuff and we just aren't getting a handle on this, or we'd like an independent voice, or, unbiased as well. And I can come in and do that for a company. So that's something that's in my offerings.
Yeah.
And
seeing
just
things from both perspectives.
Right. And just, helping on initiatives and just helping see, the people value and employee engagement.
Yeah.
And I'm very much about creating on the spot. Like, let's hear, what are your problems? Okay, let's create this. Because, maybe some of the standard old off the shelf ways or products aren't really fitting right now, right?
Yeah.
Or they've done that and it didn't really make a difference, and people want to make connections. We don't want to walk around isolated and feeling like, I'm miserable inside and I've got to smile when I come to work because I need to get this paycheck.
Well,
right?
Given that we spend most of our lives at work, we see our work colleagues more than we see our boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
With the hours that people put in.
Exactly. And we want to, as we're evolving, we want to have fulfilling lives and fulfilling careers, right? And when I show up, yes, you're paying me, but I'm energetically putting all my efforts and my expertise into
There's a quid pro quo
this.
there.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So I want to feel the value, so.
And it's good for employers that value retention.
Exactly. And we know retention, we have to have, there's health retention, like attrition where people are like leaving, you have new influx or, that's a healthy,
off to do their own
but
thing,
you
or
can't
off to
be
take
too
maternity
high.
Leave and then,
Exactly.
Be a
Or
stay-at-home mum for a bit.
Or I'm I'm outgrown this job and I'm looking for something different.
Right.
And like, there's
career
opportunity
change.
to get someone new and new ideas and new blood in the company.
Sure.
So there's, not to say that everyone has to stay forever.
No, absolutely not. I think gone are the days of, retirement and what was it, the gold watch or something that used to.
Yes. Exactly.
Gone are those days. Gone are those days, yeah.
Gone are those days. Exactly.
Gone is the gold watch days.
Exactly.
Nobody uses watches anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
I know, right? We have it on our phone.
It's a golden cell phone
We
now.
don't even have a camera anymore. It's now, So, so it's very important. And I think opportunities. Will every company want that? Maybe not. But it is something
Well,
that I
it's
think
something
there's
to
a niche. There's a need, and I feel
Yeah.
like coming in with my HR background, a solid one,
Yeah.
and being a contracted sort of resource
Yeah.
for someone.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay me to pay my health insurance and
Yeah.
my pension and be
Right.
the fringe
Exactly.
benefits.
All those
So
things, yeah.
I come in and do
Yeah,
my
yeah,
work,
yeah.
and I'm
And then you
project
leave.
based,
Right.
potentially, right? So
But then consistency is key as well. I mean, it's all very well to sort of wake up on a Monday, have 3 healthy meals, go to the gym once, drink, however much water you're supposed to drink, and then on Tuesday, go back to the fast food and the beers and the, not even going to the water tap to get any.
yeah,
That one day is not going to make that much of a difference. It's about consistency and
Consistency.
it's about maintaining,
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah.
So as much as with a meditation practice, it's all very well to, as my mentor Paul Selig says, you have the puddle of meditation, yet the spirit is all around you.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
similarly with the offerings that you have, it's important, I think, to maintain those offerings.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
people to take them up.
Yeah, and for who it's meant for,
Yeah. will come.
you build it, they come.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So
Mountains and Mohammeds and things like that. Yeah.
yeah. But I feel like this is a time where you have to just step up and lead for
Yeah.
what I think we all have our inherent talents and gifts and offerings.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so many people shy away because they're scared and fearful. And so coaching, one-on-one coaching is another aspect that I offer just to help be a support because, and I work with people who are ready to make change. I'm not here to convince you need to do something. Like when you're ready and you need support, assistance, some guidance, perspective, accountability, you need a cheerleader. Some people need a permission.
Life coach.
It's like I have to personally go pay a gym membership or a personal trainer
Right.
to put my body into action because
Exactly,
I know what
yeah,
I'm supposed to
yeah,
do, but
yeah.
do I? Oh no,
Yeah, I need to be
apparently
told to
not.
do that for 35 seconds. And then do the next
Exactly,
thing for
right?
60 seconds, right.
But it's a part of self-care. Like I
Yeah.
honor myself enough to do it for me. And it's an investment in me. And that's what people are doing when they do it one-on-one for themselves. This is an investment in me because if I can't invest in me, who is going to? If I,
Right. Exactly. It's the best investment that we make is
Exactly.
the one in
Yeah.
ourselves.
But
for sure.
and not a lot of people, or I shouldn't say not a lot. There are people who don't have that confidence in themselves to do that. But
Or who haven't
I'm
had
here
that
to-
seed planted, who haven't
and
had
that
that
support.
awakening, if I can put it that way.
Right. Or even support as a child. Like
Right.
they've been raised in communities
Yeah.
that are supportive in that way.
Uh-huh.
They were fed, but maybe like, oh, you're not going to amount to anything. Or,
Right, of
there's also a
course,
variety
of
of things that could have
course.
been said to you out of
Every society has
not even
communities
meaning
where that-
from, parents saying off the cuff, but we
Well, those
stick
parents would have
with
been
us.
raised with those things being said to them.
Exactly,
So it's that
right.
repeat pattern,
So
that
it's like,
generational
right.
behavior.
So I've got like so much work on wanting to do generational breaking stuff of
Oh, me
like
too.
yeah. So there's more coming,
More to
keeping
come.
evolving and like I
Yeah.
said, as I heal, I can help others
Yeah.
heal, and it's a ripple effect,
Right,
So,
exactly.
you grow up hearing, oh, one person's not gonna make a difference. Oh, like on recycling or whatever, like
No, that's
and
not
you're
true
like,
at all,
that's
is
not
it?
so
Look at
true.
Greta Thunberg.
I'm like,
She's one person, and
How-
look how many people she's reached.
I know exactly,
to
and
use
I'm
the climate
thinking,
change recycling.
yeah, but even like take
example.
that back to someone saying, well, oh, I'm not gonna do that. That's not me. Well, what could I do? Like being kind.
Yeah.
A very
Spreads
basic
the
level,
kindness, K-man kind.
and like you being kind to someone, they're being kind to someone, and
Yeah.
if we could like energetically look at our footprint or our imprint,
Yeah.
not footprint, like just to see like what I did, how did that just trickle through the
Yeah,
world?
yeah.
We'd be really surprised.
Driving is a great example. I love to use that here because, we're always in our cars. There's always traffic on our roads now. And, you let somebody out of the side road, they're in front of you. And then isn't it so nice that the next time somebody in front of them is trying to exit the side road to get onto, or the plaza to get onto the main road, usually West Bay Road, the person that you've just let out then stops to let the other
I
person
know,
out.
I know.
And it's like,
It's-
isn't that so
I
nice?
know, and I watch those things too.
Yeah,
Like,
do you?
yeah, I
That's
do.
the literal trickle effect that you can see down
I
the line
know.
of cars on West Bay Road.
I know. Or anywhere, like, you know what? I let you
Right.
out. Did you just let someone else out in front of you?
Yeah. And then, of course, there are some people who don't. And I just assume that they're in a real hurry.
Yeah, I mean,
Late for the doctor's
without
appointment or the
judgment, I
airport.
try to say, well, or maybe they couldn't stop enough to like let
Well,
someone
there is also
out,
that,
or,
if somebody's very
like from a
close behind you, of
safety
course.
perspective.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I try
yeah,
not
sure,
to
sure.
judge, but
Yeah.
I do watch. I do say,
Oh, me too,
look at
yeah.
that. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So yeah, did you see my post the other day that I did about
Which one?
the policeman who stopped to pick up the lady?
Oh my gosh, I did.
That was
yeah,
so
that
like
was
it
so
really touched my heart. Like I'm
sweet.
like I have to say this. Like
Yeah.
you know,
Tell the story.
Oh my gosh. So I was driving, and it went out on social media. So I wasn't even telling people exactly where I was,
Yeah.
but I was going towards the airport, and
Yeah.
there was a police officer, there's a car in front of me, police car, and it started to rain. And I saw this lady just dragging her suitcase.
That's right. Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Oh, bless
big
her.
suitcase.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to like drag this to
Yeah.
the airport?
Yeah.
But and it wasn't that far.
And for the overseas listeners, the rain we get is tropical rain.
Yeah.
It appears out of nowhere. There are no clouds in the sky, yet the rain appears.
Well, I tell you, I thought, oh my gosh, this lady is going to get soaked.
Yeah.
And I thought, I could take her. Like, I don't have anything to rush
Yeah.
off to. The
Yeah.
airport's right there.
Yeah.
But where am I going
Car's
to pull
big enough.
off? There was
Right.
nowhere to pull off.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, okay, maybe I'll shout to her, like, as I get across there and say, go up there and I'll turn
Yeah,
around
yeah.
or I'll whatever and come back and pick you up.
Sure.
And then she just turns and looks to my way, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the police officer in front of me.
Yeah.
And
If in
she-
trouble, ask for the police.
all right, she drags her suitcase across the street, and she gets in, and he comes out and puts her suitcase in the
that's so
trunk, and I was like,
kind.
"You're so
Oh,
kind."
I hope
like
he's
I thought,
listening.
yeah, and I hope I was like,
listening.
I thought, am I going to get him in trouble? But I thought, because sometimes you'll see
No.
government things. They'll say we can't pick up, hitchhikers or passengers or whatever.
Oh, really? I've never seen those.
Yeah, like we can't take
No,
riders.
the view
like,
I take is the police are there to help.
that's what
If
I
I'm
thought.
lost, I'm like,
I know,
where's the
right?
nearest police
Yeah,
officer?
if I was wounded, I think you would put me in your back seat, right?
Exactly.
So I thought, okay, he hopefully won't get in trouble. But
No.
I just was so like touched by it, and he just was so kind looking. Like
Yeah.
he just looked, and I was like,
Aw.
oh, you're such a good soul.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
so
I have to
lovely.
tell people because I see stuff on Facebook all the time or Instagram,
Yeah.
wherever, and I'm
Yeah.
sharing it like,
Yeah.
oh, look at these good deeds.
Yeah,
And I'm
acts of
always going,
kindness.
well, I noticed that. Am I going to be present enough to see an opportunity?
Yeah.
Or am I so busy in my own whatever that I don't see that
Oh,
someone
giving
needs
me
help?
goosebumps now.
You
Just-
know?
Yeah, just having that awareness of will
Yeah.
I be present enough
Yeah.
to see that opportunity to help someone.
Exactly. And
I love that.
and I didn't because I didn't because he did.
You got there
right?
first.
But I'm going to be on the lookout,
Yeah.
for whatever it
Yeah.
is, and so I encourage everyone to do the same.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
just, it doesn't hurt to be kind.
No, it really
And it
doesn't.
could be
It's not
us, like we
difficult.
always say, it could be us. I've always
Oh,
like even with
gosh.
like with my children and like
Yeah.
their clothes and they've outgrown or Christmas gifts like we get rid of and we're going to give to someone who can't,
Yeah.
that doesn't have,
Yeah.
and we don't hoard.
Yeah.
We always give away,
Yeah.
and so I think that matters.
It does matter. And you've
You
just
know?
reminded me of so as you know, I used to live in the British Virgin Islands. And I have a tarantula story to do with the British Virgin Islands in my car. So here I am one day. So I used to live basically in the jungle. I used to live on top of a hill and I was surrounded by beautiful flora fauna, probably about 7 other houses on that hill. And the beautiful flora fauna also gave rise to creatures. Not just my 2 cats. I mean, my 2 cats came to live with me because I had rats. But, that's a whole other story. Let's do the tarantula story now. So
I hate tarantulas.
oh my
I have
gosh. It was
arachnophobia.
there's no real reason to dislike them. They eat the cockroaches. I think we dislike cockroaches more. So we like tarantulas from that regard, but we don't want them in our car. Okay, so
I can't even imagine, really.
oh my gosh, I
can't.
left the office for the night, right? I left the office for the night and it was after dark. So I don't know what time it was, roughly same, I think we probably have the same sunrise, sunset here as we do in BVI. 1,000 miles east that way, it's going to be the same, right? So, it was either after 5:30 if it was winter or it was after 6:30 if it was summer, but it was definitely dark. Anyway, so I walk across the road from my then office and I get into the, big main car park that we all used to park in. And out of the corner of my eye, I thought I could see something move. I assumed it was lights from a different car because all the cars are speeding by on the
Right.
coast road or, people are getting out of the car park also having left the office for the day. And I see something move and I'm just like, oh, fine, whatever, you know, and I'm just, keen to get home, whatever. Get out onto the road and what do I see crawling across my dashboard? Oh no, I think I just deafened the listeners there screaming. I literally had a flashback.
Say it. I would have gotten an accident because I would have probably jumped out of the car, left it running, and like.
Do you know,
Somebody
I had
would've hit
enough.
me.
I had enough presence of mind because only probably a few weeks or maybe a few months, I forget the timescale now, before that, I managed to lose control of my car going down a hill. Anybody that's driven in the British Virgin Islands, and my listeners over there, you know what the roads are like. The roads here are so lovely. Everything's flat, everything's paved. BVI, everything's mountainous except for Road Town, which is actually probably the flattest bit, and Coast Road going east-west, that's pretty flat. But you get into the middle of the island and you're going up and down mountains and often steep roads that aren't paved and have got rocks and stones. And so sometimes your brakes don't catch.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So not long
Can't
prior, I
imagine.
was going down this road called the Elevator, which is sort of in the middle of the island and it takes you from the coast up to the middle and back down again. And my brakes weren't catching on this road and it was pretty steep and I was going downhill. So I through the car. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So this is what I now do. And I'm not giving road safety advice at all because I don't think this is what you should do. But my first option is always, I pull up the handbrake. And of course that does nothing because, you know, you can drive with the handbrake on.
Right.
Then the next option is slam the car into park. If that doesn't work, slam it into reverse.
I'm like neutral.
If
like,
that doesn't work,
okay,
that doesn't work, and this is my brain, right? Grab handbag and throw self out of car. Please don't do this, listeners. Safety warning.
With
here.
the tarantula, I would leave the purse. I'd be like out.
I don't know what it is about the purse. Maybe it's the phone. Maybe it's the makeup. I don't know.
Well, did a police officer help you?
So back to the tarantula story. I had the presence of mind to put the car into park, pull up the handbrake, put my hazard lights on, and then run out of the car screaming. So there I was in the middle of the road. In fact, I think I even managed to pull to the side because I didn't want to inconvenience the people behind me, all the while screaming, you know, inside the car. So I get out of the car and I'm standing by the side of the road, like just randomly trying to flag someone down. And of course, somebody pulls over in this big pickup truck, and this guy gets out, and I recognize him. He's my friend's husband, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, what's wrong? And I tell him. And then, of course, I've told him. Somebody else has seen that there's all these cars, you know, like 2 cars pulled over to the side. And then my other friend appears and they all get out. And all these men are in the car trying to get this tarantula.
Oh, my God.
And it was just so the kindest thing.
In the dark.
In the dark. Well, we had street lights. This was in town. So
still inside the cabin of your car is still like,
inside the cabin of my car.
It's still shadowy.
I know.
With, you know,
I know.
But they got it apparently, and you were safe.
Well, yeah, I was safe. They were safe.
No bites.
No one died in the filming of
Yes, yeah.
But it's just those little things like that. So that was just, you know, I had so much gratitude
kindness,
for
right there.
people stopping to help me, because otherwise I would have had to sleep on the side of the road that night because there's no way I was getting back in that car with that tarantula.
Oh no, I hear you. I would have had to walk or something, you know. So yeah.
But no, I just would have slept on the side of the road and then just gone to work the next day. Why are you still in the same clothes you were in last night, covered in dust?
Oh, it's a big story.
Yeah, and then big story.
Oh, yeah. So the nugget from this is be kind, everyone.
Yeah.
You know, be kind.
Yeah. Stop for people when they need help.
Help. Exactly. Yeah. And we're scared to. You know, we're scared to help people too, amongst all of the things that are going on in the world. And they might do this or might do that, or I know someone who had this happen, and you know, I mean.
Just keep your wits about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Follow your intuition. If it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. You know, don't do something you're uncomfortable with.
Exactly.
By any means. Don't put yourself at risk.
I agree. Because that's our internal radar.
Yes.
Use it.
Yeah, it's there for a reason.
Exactly.
So, I want to know. You have 5 kids.
Oh.
You have all these jobs. And I don't think we've even spoken about everything that you do, because I know you do more. How do you balance and manage all of your different roles, including your family role? How do you do it?
Wow. Well, yes. So let me just qualify by saying my 5 kids are all raised now. So
you still did the raising.
I did, yes. Well, that's true. During that, I always say God just supported me because, you know, you do what you have to do, right? Like, I loved having my family, but it's very sacrificial for all of us who are parents, right?
Yeah. I saw my mom sacrificing so much for me.
You know, exactly, you know, and my husband at the time was, you know, in the fire service, so he was on shifts, and so there was a lot that fell on me, you know. But, you know, I made it and I'm alive, right? So
and so are they.
and everybody's alive and well, right? But yeah, so my business hats, I do. I don't know, maybe it's just one of my strengths. I don't know. You know, I have a real estate hat that I wear sometimes.
Of course, there's that too.
You know, you know, and I have, you know, intuitive coaching, and, you know, I have the retreat sides. I have Free Spirit Connection side, which is, you know, a platform for some different sort of offerings. But I just get on with it. And then there's me. So I've learned how to have self-care for myself.
Okay.
And, you know, because you can preach it a lot to people. Do you do it, you know? So am I
Otherwise,
perfect?
it's not coming from a place of authenticity unless we practice our own preaching. Right?
But it's to my benefit, not just for the optics, but just for me to know that
and I think this
I'm
is
well.
What we share. I mean, I share so much of, you know, things about self-care. A lot of that comes out in my radio shows, and that's because I see the benefits for myself of the things that I do, that I research, that I read, that I try to practice.
Yeah.
And so I share that with people because I want them to benefit too. That's what this is all about.
Exactly, I agree. And I do think that I'm still learning how to strip away some corporate thinking from my life, like, or the masculine side of like going out and being busy all the time, you know, like, especially if you're right. If you're an entrepreneur, you know that I don't have my corporate paycheck coming in. I
Right.
have to work and have that
Mhm.
business come in.
Yeah.
So then you can get into that frenzy of, oh my goodness,
Yes.
I've got to be running. And then I had to
Yeah.
stop and like, well, what's the value for my time? My time and
Mm.
energy is important.
Yeah.
And so I've learned to value that more than ever.
Right.
I've learned
okay.
to stop multitasking,
Okay.
not
How do you
completely.
do that? Do you kind of like do you have say you spend an hour doing one business and then you take a 15-minute break, whatever, and then you get into a different
You know,
one?
the structure isn't so defined. I catch myself
Mhm.
when I'm trying to do too much. And I'm like,
Right.
no.
Ah,
Well, you
so
know,
it's
we're
having
all
that
like,
awareness.
yeah. So like,
I'm
you know,
learning now because
we
I'm
put
at
in
risk of that. For
our little
sure.
AirPods, like when, like, go running, like say,
Yes.
oh, we're going to listen to this while we run,
Mhm.
right? Now, that's something we've normally kind of been raised with, like, you know, kill two birds with one stone, you know, keep my mind
Oh
engaged.
yeah, listen to a podcast.
So that's a
Chuck had to
multitasking
tell
kind
me
of
that.
thing.
I thought people sat and listened to podcasts and made notes because that's the kind of weird stuff that I do, right?
Okay.
Apparently, right? See, okay.
Well, some would,
strange
maybe.
girl.
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Maybe I'm
know.
the only one
You
in
know,
the
but
8
driving in the
billion
car.
people that do that.
Well,
but
listening while we're
apparently
driving,
other
you know.
people, the rest of the world,
Are doing something else while they're
are
listening.
multitasking. Right?
Yeah.
They're running, or
Yeah,
they're doing
exactly.
their chores, or they're
Exactly.
making the dinner, or
Right.
whatever it is.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So they're listening at the same time. So that's one of those, you know, I still find myself doing that. But like,
Yeah.
you know, I'll be brushing my teeth and trying to like check messages. And I'm like,
Yeah,
why?
no, don't do that.
Stop.
Don't do that.
You
It's
don't
2
need
minutes.
to.
It's
You
2
know,
minutes out of the day.
exactly. And
Yeah.
like, why don't I
Do
just
the
be
teeth.
present and really
Yeah.
enjoy brushing my teeth
Yeah, exactly.
and
Make
look at
sure
my
you get all
beautiful
the stuff
chops
out so that
Exact-
there's less cleaning to do for the hygienist next time, as my hygienist is
There you
always
go.
telling me.
Yeah, exactly,
Brush
right?
your teeth properly.
But you know, especially you know when you have a mom hat too, I think you
Course.
want to like every minute counts, and I
Yeah.
was in that so long,
Yes.
you know, that
Yeah.
it unconditioning myself.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
if we're just kind to ourselves and give ourselves a break and say, I'm not getting this perfect, but if I'm start to be more aware,
Yeah.
that's half the battle. I always say for the awareness, we can
Awareness,
stop
yeah.
and start to change behaviors no matter
Mhm.
what they are,
Mhm.
and make them what we want them to be.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I just try to stop myself when I see something happening and go, or I can feel like when I can feel the frenzy emotionally, and you know when I have
Of course.
5 things, I have like
Mhm.
3 proposals I need to do
That
right now.
anxiety,
and I'm like,
we feel it.
like, and like, do I start this one and start this? And like, okay, no, Kim, just calm down.
Yeah. Just take a breath.
Pull one,
Yeah.
you know, and then you'll get to this one next. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
you know, so
Do you know what I do when that happens? I get all frenzied and start panicking and get anxious. I just drop everything, go up to my room, get on my meditation mat. And even if that means just sitting for 5 minutes or less sometimes, and just putting on some music,
Good
holding a
for
couple
you.
of crystals as I like to do, and meditating, it clears everything out.
That's amazing.
It's like having a
Yeah.
shower, but
Yeah.
for it's an internal shower.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, for some people, that's going to be, oh, that's amazing, I'll do that. And others are like, oh, that's not my thing.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So whatever
Whatever
it
it is,
is,
yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know, like I have so much tea during the day. I have
Me
at least
too.
6 cups a day.
Me too.
And I like go out and I'll sit on my back porch and just listen to the birds or watch or play with my
Oh.
dog a
Oh,
little bit,
that's so
just to
nice.
disconnect. And like,
Yeah.
I'm working from home.
Yeah.
Why do I have to act like I'm in an office?
Exactly. Yeah. If
You
you
know,
want to
get
go
up
and put
and-
your laundry on in the middle of the day, knock
Exactly, you
yourself
know,
out.
I have my radio running during the day for
Yeah.
energy, and you know, just to like feel like, because I'm dancing in the house.
I do the same thing. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
I do
So,
exactly the same
I love
thing.
my life. I love
Yeah.
my life I've created, and I know
love
that if
that.
I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're also fearful to take the steps to really claim the world and life we want,
Yeah.
and we just have to have faith.
Yes.
I've walked many paths that like
Yeah.
everyone's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, but I know
People
I'm
are
fine.
so quick to be like,
Yeah.
hey, you sure?
I got this. And if I don't, guess what? I can figure it out.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. If you don't
know, I'm bright enough.
try, then you don't give yourself the opportunity to succeed.
We're
If you
so
fail,
scared
try
to
something
fail.
else.
We have to fail.
Right. We have to fail. in order
We
to
are not
fail.
raised that way that
Yeah.
failure is healthy. But
Right.
we have to.
Yeah.
you
We're
know?
raised to always get the A star, to always get 100%.
Yeah, you have to be you have to be the high achiever, and
Yeah.
you know, and you know, even in our jobs, like, oh, you know, people are good in one thing. It's like, oh, well, we want to promote you, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to be a people manager or
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
now
The gold
because,
star is promotion.
you
but
know,
don't-
and then
yeah,
you know, and they're like,
may not want it.
but I'm really good at this, and we put managers in roles that
Mhm,
don't want it,
mhm,
or
mhm.
that's not their forte,
Yeah.
and we don't recognize, oh, well, you're really good in this
Yeah.
next level.
Right.
Like we just keep
Yeah.
pushing,
Going up the ladder.
yeah, you know, and it's
Yeah.
not necessary,
Not
always,
necessary
you know,
at
not for everyone,
all.
you know. So
No.
yeah.
So I was going to ask you if you have any advice or tips for people balancing a hectic life, but I think you've just laid it all out there.
Yeah, I think self-awareness, like, you know,
Mm.
catching yourself or knowing, like, journaling maybe, like, where do I feel most anxious? Like, why, or what can I think of immediately, like, that I'm trying to overlay or, like, multitask all these
Yeah.
things? 'Cause we're,
Free
like,
writing. I've talked about that on previous shows.
Yeah.
So with journaling, free writing is a great way, which is just doing a brain dump, essentially. It's a great way
Yep.
of offloading. I mean, for example, we can all get into this thing, can't we, where we use our partner or our friend as the sort of sounding board, and we're like, dumping on them, which is no good for anyone,
But
right? Yeah.
Good friend takes it though, but
Yeah, but,
But, yeah.
after a while, they'll, your friend will disappear. And it'll be like,
Here's
I
my
wonder where they
boundary.
went.
I can't take anymore.
Exactly. I can't take any more of this.
Yeah.
So free writing, journaling is a great way of having that offload onto a piece of paper.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dumping everything.
Dumping everything.
Yeah.
down
And
on
there's
that. And there's no need to keep
workshops
it.
and stuff that you can learn how to do that too. And
Do what?
there's workshops and whatnot.
Sorry,
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
of course.
figure out how to do
Yeah,
that. Go on
yeah, yeah.
Google and, it's our best friend, I always say.
Google.
Find anything you want.
Anything you want.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, I really do think awareness is the key, because so many people don't realize. And then if you start to realize, then you can change.
Yeah.
Right. And just do, the research, ask your friends, like what works for me may not be someone else's cup of tea,
exactly.
and this allows you to take ownership for you in
Yeah.
a way that it's authentic to you.
Yeah.
Why don't I just Google what are some options for me to do, to clear my mind, or to not multitask, or to be present.
Yes,
And
you can
mindfulness
ask
is
Google
another big
anything.
thing.
You can ask Google anything. Often it
Exactly.
preempts what you're going to ask it. Off you go.
He knows.
Yeah, I know. He, she, it
Yeah,
knows. But this is
so-
the other thing. I don't know if you get this, or again, is this just me? I'm going to have another one of these moments now that, is it just me out of all the, 8 billion people? But I will Google something and I will just get the exact right answer that I need. And then maybe the next day or the next week or the next month, I might put the same search into Google and I get a completely different top 5 set of results.
Oh,
It's almost like what I
serendipity.
need to see in that moment is just being delivered to me by the internet.
I agree. I think that
Probably the universe,
one of my
God,
terms
spirit.
is breadcrumbing. I think we get what we need.
Yeah.
I don't think encounters with people are random.
Yeah, there are no coincidences. I'm becoming more and more of a believer
Yeah,
of
and
that,
even
actually.
if it's a bad encounter,
Right.
like what's the learning in here, right?
Sure. Sure.
And so I think that we get what we need, and when we ask,
Yes.
hey, I need some help
Yeah,
up
and we're
there,
constantly asking
and whoever it is
Google
your
for
help, asking
help.
if it's God or if it's
Yeah.
spirit, if it's your higher self, whatever. Like,
Yes.
I'd like some help, because
Yeah.
from a religious side, we're all taught free will.
Yes.
God doesn't force you to believe in Him, but you have to ask.
Yeah.
And I believe the same for divinity. Like,
God
ask for
helps
help.
those who help themselves.
Yeah.
Is that in the Bible?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think
It's probably
I
in all
think
of
it
the
is.
religious texts in some way, shape,
Yeah,
or form, right?
exactly. And ask, and there's like a child asking a parent, I need help with homework, or I need help with this, or tie my shoelaces, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? But I think we get what we need when we're looking and asking. We have to be open, because sometimes we're so we don't look at signs, we don't see the things that are being thrown at us.
Yeah,
and
we're too busy rushing
yeah,
from
exactly.
A to B. and
Could be
doing.
something on the radio, a song. It could be
Yes.
a message on a billboard. It could be
Yeah.
a conversation you're overhearing, or something you
Yes,
read, something
yes,
you picked
yes,
up.
yes,
It
yes.
comes in so many ways.
Synchronicity all the time.
Just gotta be open to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh.
Kind of going down a different path. But it's all good.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Kim.
Oh,
thank you for coming
It's
on my
been-
show and
So
talking again.
excited. Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean,
It's
I
been
had
wonderful.
I had a few questions for you, but as always, we've just gone completely sort of off script. Not that we had a script, but it's just been so wonderful talking to you.
We'll have to have a part 2.
We should have a part 2 for
Yeah,
sure. We
and-
definitely need to have a part 2.
Yeah. So maybe if any of your listeners have anything specific they want to
Yeah.
have answered or learn more about, maybe
Absolutely.
we can tackle that.
Yeah, absolutely. As I always say to my listeners, I love your feedback. Let me know what you want me to talk about. Let me know if you want to get in touch with Kim, and if you've got any questions for her, get in touch with me. My email is shuvradeb82@gmail.com. That's SHUVRADEB82, the numbers, @gmail.com. And of course, my show is about raising awareness around the topic of mental health. And if any of the topics that we've discussed today have affected you, please reach out to someone, whether that's a friend or to a professional support service. Infinite Mind Care provides counselling services and can be reached here in Cayman on 926-0882. The Alex Panton Foundation offers support to people up to the age of 30, and their information is on their website, alexpantonfoundation.ky. Loud Silent Voices also provides mental health support, and their number is 922-3847, and their email is info@lsv.support. Tune in to my show, Shuvra Deb with you, every Thursday at 2 p.m. right here on Bobo FM 89.1 in the Cayman Islands. And for those of you listening on the podcast, which is now available on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, for you guys, if you want to catch my show as it drops first before being uploaded to the podcast, be sure to tune in. You can find me online every Thursday at 2 p.m. on Bobo FM 89.1 at dmsbroadcasting.ky, which is a DMS broadcasting radio station. Thank you all so much for listening. See you next time. Bye for now. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for listening to Shuvra Deb with you. And please do tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. on Bobo FM 89.1 for more topics related to and relevant to mental health. If any of you would like to reach out to me directly about any of the issues I've discussed, please do email me at shuvradeb82@gmail.com. That's spelt SHUVRADEB, the numbers 82 @gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening.